everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to SAVE, a TV show brought to you today by Citizens Against Family Violence. I'm Jessica Plasters.
And I'm Sandy Dawson.
And welcome to our show. Today we're going to gear this show towards talking about what Sexual Assault Awareness Month is. I know the last show we started the Sexual Assault series and we did mention that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So today we're going to focus on what that actually means, what Sexual Assault Awareness Month is, a little history about it, and how long it's been around. So Sandy, would you like, of course I know what it is, but would you like to tell our viewers what Sexual Assault Awareness Month is?
Sure. Sexual Assault Awareness Month is observed in April, and it's a month specifically dedicated to the effort of raising awareness about and preventing sexual violence. Lots of times there's a lot of events that take place specifically in the month, but then there's also other presentations that take place. And even though we do it throughout the year, April is the special month that's set aside just for that.
Okay. So has this month been observed for a long time? And what's a little history on Sexual Assault Awareness Month?
Actually, it hasn't been observed for a very long time. When we think about the amount of years that the Earth has been in existence.
Right, and as long as sexual assault's been a problem as well.
But actually it goes back to the 70s, 1970s, and it actually started in England. Women organized protests against violence that was going on in the late 70s in England, and they started with what was called Take Back the Night marches. And we've kind of shifted Take Back the Night to
our domestic
violence program. But it started with the name Take Back the Night in England, and they were women-only protests, and they emerged in direct response to the violence that women encountered when they walked on the streets at night. So as you can imagine, that gets into that what people think about with sexual assault, where the stranger jumps out and from the dark alley kind of thing. You know, so women were experiencing violence in the streets at night, and so the women were protesting against that and trying to bring awareness so that there would be more help available, and that to let people know that these kind of things were happening, and also for prevention to try to help keep women more safe.
Right.
Eventually, the movement came to the United States, and in 1978, the very first Take Back the Night started in the United States in San Francisco and New York City, but that was only in '78. Over time, the sexual assault awareness activities continued, but started including men's awareness. Men's participation in ending sexual violence, but also that they stood up against the sexual violence that was happening towards women.
Right.
And then in the early 80s, there was an increased interest in coordinating the activities to raise awareness for all violence against women. So in the 1980s, it started. They started looking at all the other topics of violence, right? Not just sexual violence, and eventually they set aside October for the month to recognize domestic violence awareness. And then October became that principal month every year for those activities. Just like we do with Sexual Assault Awareness Month, then October is the same thing for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But the sexual assault advocates wanted to start recognizing a certain time frame just to deal with sexual assault topics. And so in the late 80s, they really just started with a week. They had like a day
they had a designated
program
week for sexual assault awareness.
Right, it was just a designated week. And then in the 90s, they decided that they started doing more activities during the month, even though it was just recognized for the 1 week. But it wasn't until 2000 and 2001 that they actually decided to start putting more of a focus on it And they surveyed and polled a lot of different people and decided that they liked the color teal for,
I was going to ask you
for
that,
sexual assault awareness, and that they wanted the month of April, the whole entire month. So April of 2001 was the very first Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Oh, okay.
So that was just
took it a while to get here, but it got here.
History, yeah. So it was like 30 years or so that it took for it to actually come to be a designated month of recognition.
So around that same time is when Domestic Violence Awareness Month came about too, right? Or during that process?
Yeah, during that process is when it started. So over the last few years, it's been a continued increase in emphasizing the prevention of sexual violence, not just awareness that it occurs and all the statistics around that, but also in what we can do to help prevent sexual violence.
And by awareness, you can do prevention as well. By making people more aware, it can prevent, hopefully, it from happening.
Right.
So, okay, so it's been around since, 70s, but really in effect since 2001. And you said the color of sexual assault awareness is teal. That's got our little teal ribbons and stuff.
Yeah, the teal ribbon, actually teal became the official color, and it's become very effective and popular just for recognition of that. A lot of people, they'll just see teal, and especially in our line of work, we see teal and we automatically say, oh, that's for sexual violence awareness, and then we automatically say, well, purple is for domestic violence. But then also the other color that we use a lot is blue.
For child abuse
awareness. For child abuse awareness, which is also recognized in the month of April.
I was getting ready to say that, which is also this month as well. This month is an awareness month for a lot of different things.
It is. Yep.
As well as autism awareness. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I had to throw that out there.
There are a lot that overlap because we only have the 12 months. And there's a lot of issues.
Right. Well, October is shared with breast cancer and domestic violence awareness too. So
right.
It's a lot of awareness out there, which is great. Our community needs this stuff. Okay. So is there a slogan that goes along with Sexual Assault Awareness Month?
They always have like a particular theme that they're concentrating on. But this year, the actual slogan is, it's time to talk about it. Talk early, talk often, prevent sexual violence.
So every year has a slogan that goes along with it. I mean, a theme or whatnot.
Now, last year, if you remember, when we first started doing this TV show, we specified that it was talk about it.
Right.
So it was about getting the word out and getting more people to just start talking.
Be more comfortable talking about it as well, too.
So this time it's more talking early, talking often, and preventing sexual violence. And that's more of a focus of healthy sexuality and then child sexual abuse prevention. So, it's about learning the characteristics of healthy sexuality so that adults can identify the risks, support healthy boundaries, and then challenge any negative messages that their children might be receiving. So it's primarily concentrating on preventing child sexual abuse.
Right, I was going to say, it sounds like it's surrounded around children. So.
And which is appropriate since it is Child Abuse Prevention
just put
Awareness Month as well. So it just, it kind of lends itself to concentrate on that, even though our awareness expands a little bit beyond that, because there's some statistics that say that a majority of women who reported being raped at some point in their life, which was 79%, experienced their first rape before the age of 25. And 42% of those women experienced their first rape before the age of 18.
So while they were still a child.
So while they were still children, experienced their first rape. And then another startling statistic, more than 25% of male victims in a national sample reported their first rape was when they were 10 years of age or younger.
Wow.
Really young children.
Really young children. Especially with the boys, it's, theirs is majority.
Yeah, and
really
when they were
children.
young, very, very young. So, it's...
Now, this might be a really dumb question for me to ask you, but this is definitely for them. What is child sexual abuse? Like, how is that really explained?
Well, child sexual abuse, it's important for everyone to understand and recognize what it is. So it's not a silly question. It's very important. A person sexually abuses a child when he or she exposes the child to sexual acts or behaviors. So child sexual abuse is a crime. It's an abuse of trust, of power, and authority that may contribute to serious short-term or long-term problems for the child. Just like we talked about, these adults surveyed said that the incidences occurred when they were children. Very often they're still suffering from the long-term effects.
Well, they might not even disclose until they're an adult,
right.
which we see a lot of times happen. They're adults coming to seek services that this stuff happened 20 years or more ago, and they're still dealing with it, or they're just now dealing with it.
Right.
So, or they've dealt with it all along, just suppressed it. So.
Right, and didn't realize that that was really one of the contributing factors that affects how they handle other relationships and handle things going on in their life now. Child sexual abuse can involve sex acts that involve penetration, touching a child's breast or genitals, making a child touch the perpetrator's breast or genitals. It can include voyeurism, which is when a perpetrator looks at a child's naked body, or exhibitionism, which is when a perpetrator shows a child his or her naked body. There's some other forms of child sexual abuse that include showing child pornography or using a child in the production of pornography, child sexual exploitation, such as child trafficking, or forcing a child into prostitution, and internet-based child sexual abuse, such as creating, depicting, or distributing sexual images of children online, or stalking, grooming, or engaging in sexually explicit behaviors with children. And when I read that list, I was like, oh my gosh, we see and hear about that all the time. And it's becoming more and more prevalent, especially with the additional forms in today's society.
Well, it's really important that you mentioned all those different types, because a lot of people might be under the impression that it has to be sexual intercourse for it to be sexual abuse, but a lot of these things, you know, just by looking at the pictures or looking at the body or what have you, it's still inappropriate and still considered sexual abuse, but a lot of people might not have viewed it that way or thought of it as that way. So.
Right. And, you know, we've had an investigator on before talking with us about the internet-based child advocacy, where they actually observe internet conversation just to find the predators who are seeking out the children and to put a stop to that. Fortunately, that type of thing is out there to help put a stop to that type of behavior. But, you know, we're
hearing getting smarter by the day as well, too. So
they are, and we hear a lot of people, we hear a lot more about human trafficking and child trafficking, especially for sexual reasons, forcing the children into prostitution at very, very young ages. We hear about it worldwide, but it's becoming much more prevalent here in the United States.
Most definitely. You think it's not, but it definitely is.
Right.
Something's got me choked up over here.
So, you know, when we're thinking about what it all is, then we have to start thinking about what can we do.
Right. Do you have any tips or anything that we could use to, to prevent sexual violence? Tips for parents or caregivers or people out there in the community?
Well, you know, as advocates, that's part of what we do, is letting people know what are some of the things that they can do. It's very important to play a role in prevention. No matter who you are or what contact you have with children, do your part. And that means...
The child tells you something, believe it and do something about it.
Right. You know, there's certain steps that we have to take that are important, especially with reporting. But, you know, when it's important for each person to educate themselves and to learn about what sexual abuse is, and then to help the children or help adults to learn differently if in case there is questions. It's important to be observant of children. Notice when behaviors change.
Right.
And start talking to children. It's important for the children who have trusted individuals in their life that they start conversations early so that the children become comfortable with talking to their parents or grandparents when things do happen. They have somebody that they can turn to and start talking to. You know, oftentimes, like we were talking about, the adults who reported incidences happen in their childhood, most of the time they didn't have somebody to talk to.
Right, or somebody that was going to believe them.
Right, and they've kept it to themselves. And, you know, by doing that, they've withheld a lot of information. For one thing, they've also withheld the fact that that person did something wrong, and they haven't. If it
wasn't explained to them that something was wrong, then they might not understand it until they got older.
Exactly. And they haven't even, that perpetrator hasn't been held accountable for what they did to that child. You know, it's important to have open communication with the children. Speak appropriately, but age appropriately. Talking to children at their age that they are and teaching them like the correct names for body parts. Because, you know, if we get into a situation and a child, I heard a story one time where a child was reporting to her school teacher that her father was putting change in her purse every day. And the teacher actually thought they meant change in the purse, but the father was inappropriately sexually abusing the child and had groomed them to believing that they could call it these other names. And it was actually sexual intercourse, and the body parts were change and purse. And so when the little girl was telling the words,
something normal.
Right, it sounded like lunch money. And by no means was that what it was.
Right.
So it was a very long time before anyone intervened in that situation to help protect that child.
Oh, wow.
So it's very important for the trusted, safe people in
small children call their body parts all different kinds of things nowadays. So
that's right. And not everybody is going to know what those pet names are.
Right.
So it's important to teach them the correct names so that if they have to report to a teacher or a doctor or somebody, that they can at least call it the right name, or when those people say the correct names, that the child understands what that is. You know, it's important to encourage a basic understanding of privacy, what is appropriate, what's inappropriate, what is good touch, bad touch.
Yes,
very important with the children.
At a very young age too, because they're
so there's there is so much information to cover, and you know, we're always available to come out and do presentations in churches, with different groups, with youth groups, with adult groups, just to cover the information, to meet with parents, to go into more details. We have lots and lots of information, and unfortunately here we don't have a lot of time to be able to discuss.
We don't have a lot of time. Actually, we don't have a lot of time left today. We're going to have to take a quick commercial break in just a minute. And I know before, last week we started talking about what we're going to do this series during Sexual Assault Awareness. Well, just during the month and during our, 12 weeks? Yeah, our series. We're not going to give times. Our series here, that Sandy is going to give one step of the healing journey, and they're going to build upon each other throughout the remainder of this sexual assault series. So when we get back, Sandy's going to give us step number 1. We'll be right back.
Only Nissan Altima is bold enough to give you eyes in the back of your head, NASA-inspired zero-gravity seats, and a control panel to match, plus fuel economy that'll take you farther. The 2013 Nissan Altima. Leave the world of everyday sedans behind. With just $199 per month, Altima's a pretty clear choice. Shop at ChooseNissan.com.
Hi, we're Joe, Judy, and Joey Sparks with Sparks Family Farms. We raise all natural grass-fed beef, no steroids, no antibiotics, USDA inspected, locally grown right here in Patrick County. Also, we have, on a new addition, we have our free-range eggs, fresh eggs every day.
Sparks Family Farms. For more information, call 694-6147 or visit their website at grassfedbeefs.com.
My dad was a great guy. He did everything for us, even though he was a pretty pitiful cook. But he was the best father a little girl could ever hope for. When Dad died, we wanted a service as special as he was. We found a funeral home that even let us bring in old photos and play his favorite song. They helped us remember his life, and that helped us get on with ours.
Norris Funeral Services and Crematory.
I think that NCI brings a hope to Martinsville.
NCI has allowed me to grow as an individual and as a person.
This is progress. This is saying a lot, and we have NCI to thank for that.
This has been a journey that I will never, ever forget.
I would just like to encourage anyone who is thinking about furthering their education to please seek out NCI.
Celebrate your birthday, anniversary, or wedding with Cakes with Personality. Beautiful, delicious creations will make every guest smile. Make your event one that everyone will remember. Call us at Cakes with Personality and Cafe Delight.
Hi, I'm Emily Aaron, the new face on BTW 21. Join me for the weekend review on your neighborhood network.
Hi, I'm Chris Oswald, and I'm Chief Executive Officer of Blue Ridge Village, one of the largest providers of quality long-term care in the state of Virginia. We have been active participants with the Chamber of Commerce since 1989. We love the networking opportunities that the Chamber provides, and we also actively participate in the many events that the Chamber offers to help advertise our business.
All right, welcome back to Save. Now, real quick, because we're getting ready to have to wrap it up, Sandy's going to give us our first step of your healing journey for sexual assault survivors or victims and survivors. So, Sandy, you want to tell us what our step one is?
Yeah, what we have kind of put together is that your healing journey, and we've kind of broken it down into 12 steps.
Oh, that's right.
So this week we're covering step one, and this is something that each week you're going to get a new step, and it's going to build upon each other.
Right.
So all of them are important individually, but when you have them together, then you have progressed through a part of your healing journey. The healing journey actually is your lifetime, so knowing some steps that help guide you kind of help some.
Okay.
So we've kind of identified that step one is building your support network. Developing a network of supportive friends, family members, professionals such as ourselves, advocates, who can be available to you to offer support when you're experiencing the feelings of fear, pain, panic, or other feelings and experiences during the healing process.
Right.
As you begin your healing journey, it's not an easy process. So it's good to have people who support you through this. Sometimes you just need a shoulder to cry on or somebody to talk about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Find out who's available before you're in crisis mode. Be proactive, and kind of plan.
Find out who you can trust and you can talk to about it.
So when the crisis comes, then your support network is in place to help you when that's happening. So if you're beginning your healing journey, you can even start with just one person. But having that one person to confide in definitely helps relieve the stress. We as advocates are working with clients all the time, and it's important that we help them through the process. But even though we accompany, like to the hospital or to court,
right,
we also help talk with people when they're going through the tough parts of this.
Right, because we meet them in all different parts of the healing journey as well.
Realizing that they're not alone through this journey is very, very important, just to know that they have somebody. You know, some people aren't ready to talk to their family and friends.
Right.
And they don't want to tell too many people, but they can always know that by talking with us, all of their information is confidential.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
And we are available at different times, but we can set up appointments and work with people in times that are convenient for them.
Right.
We can come to their homes or they can come into the office, but we can work that out with each individual. And it's important to know that you have somebody that you can turn to, friends, family, or even advocates at Citizens Against Family Violence.
Right.
And it can also be your doctors or psychologists, psychiatrists, people that you work with on an ongoing basis. You have your network in place.
Whoever your trusted person is.
Yep.
Well, Sandy, thank you for sharing that, step one. And I know we only have just a few minutes left. And we said that Sexual Assault Awareness Month is April, and it is April. So, and it is about events to raise awareness. So I know we have an event. You want to share a little bit about it real quick?
Saturday, April the 20th.
Oh, I thought it was this Saturday?
No, not this Saturday.
Look up on me.
April the 20th, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, we will be having Zumba Till You Drop. This is our second annual Zumbathon. It's going to be held right next door from the TV station at Community Fellowship Church here in Collinsville. The entry fee to get in is $5. That covers getting door prizes, and then all proceeds are going to Citizens Against Family Violence to cover our shelter services. We have T-shirts this year.
And they are bright. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like a highlighter over here.
Fluorescent yellow neon, Zumba Till You Drop. T-shirts are $10, and this year we're taking pre-orders. Last year we ordered a lot of shirts and didn't sell them all.
Yeah.
So this year we're taking pre-orders. If you want a shirt, order it soon. You can call us at the shelter, Sandy Dawson at Citizens Against Family Violence. You see our number on the screen, 632-8701. If you're in any of Lisa Joyce Moore's Zumba classes, she also has a shirt and is taking orders. She's going to be one of our instructors. We have 4 instructors who will be leading Zumba that day, so they're going to be switching out every 30 minutes. It's going to be a fun, fun day. We're going to have raffle items that you can buy tickets or buy a chance at winning, but bring your bucks.
And we also have childcare that day.
That's true.
Well.
That's right. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's an important thing. A lot of people are like, I can't go there and do Zumba. I don't have anybody watching my kids. We will watch your kids. We are going to provide childcare. And the person providing childcare is going to do a little activity with them too. So keep them busy and entertained as well. Why mamas or daddies enjoy their Zumba. So.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great day. Come on out and join us.
All right. Well, stay safe, and we will see you next Tuesday.